Real quiet day here in women's basketball, but Sydney Colson is here. I guess we'll try and find something to talk about. Locked on Women's Basketball starts now.
Ogunbowale for the win.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball.
Well, hi everyone, and welcome to Locked On Women's Basketball. I'm your host, Howard Megdal, and it has been a very long day already. So much excitement here on day one of WNBA free agency. There is a lot to talk about, and I have brought star of stage and screen and basketball, Sydney Colson, here because we always want to talk to you, Syd. And there's a lot to get into. We're going to talk about Syd and TP season 2. Is it happening? What's happening? I want to hear all about it. We're going to talk, Syd, about your free agency news, a little bit about your journey, some of what we're seeing around the league. It's happening in real time, and I'm having a very good time trying to keep track of all of it. And then, of course, Athletes Unlimited this month. I mean,
Yeah,
there's so much.
there's a
Can I
ton.
just share with you? A very mediocre person in sports media once said to me, "We don't have a full-time women's basketball reporter because there's not enough year-round to justify."
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can see now that has changed a lot. I mean, I think even before you still had the W and you had the college season, so like there's a lot to talk about. But I definitely think Athletes Unlimited has helped there be even more pro basketball to talk about stateside, more for people to um, be able to like readily see in person. So I think that's really amazing too. Um, but yeah, Howard, I mean, I'm excited to talk to you today. We got a lot going on in the W, so this will be fun.
I think so too. I want to start with Syd and TP season 2. So take me through. Is it a go? Do we get to do it? It was just what I hoped it would be in season 1, and we talked about it on the show previously. Tell
Yeah.
me where we are with it.
Well, right now, we're just trying to get the funding for season two.
Okay.
So, um, you know, I like to live my life in a like what's meant to be will be. I think if it's supposed to happen, it'll happen. But like I definitely want to see a season two. It was just honestly so fun and so rewarding to see people's feedback. Season one, and see how many people um, enjoy getting to know us better. Even though that's not like 100% me and TP, it is pretty close to how we act outside of outside of the show. So we're just keeping our fingers crossed, and TP and I are going to a lot of different places just to have more people know our faces and get to know our humor, get to know us as people, and hopefully want to be a part of the show. Hopefully, want to give some money to be a part of the show. So that's kind of while we were doing that whole press tour after the season ended, um, going on talk shows and yeah, just a lot of visibility in hopes that it'll help the show, and we'll be at some Super Bowl stuff next week, and or I guess that's this whenever that is next week, and yeah, just take it from there. Just yeah,
So and RGG Spear, of course, spent time with you as part of the press tour, being able to amplify it. We're amplifying
Mhm.
it here. Again, I just
which we
want
appreciate, which we truly appreciate. We thank you for that.
listen, it is our pleasure. And again, it goes back to this is look, is this the ethically, morally right thing to do to bring more women's sports coverage into the world to make sure that you and TP have a chance to tell your stories? Yes, it is. But here's why people should be doing it, because there's bagfuls of money to be made. Or is it bags full of money to be made? Maybe it's both, with being able to support, amplify these kinds of stories. And everyone who saw it had the same reaction. Those of us who know you guys, those in women's basketball who got to know you, was like, this is real, this is authentic, this is the legitimate stories that need to be told. And it's funny as hell. Companies companies, there's a vast majority. I just wrote about this in Forbes. There's a vast majority of women's sports fans who say they have a more positive feeling about companies and are likely to spend money with you if you support women's sports endeavors. So I'm putting out the red alert. I'm going to continue to do it. I am, you know me a long time now. I don't just go once or twice on something. I'm going to go hard at it. We're going to make sure people know there needs to be a season 2. We are here for it and really excited about it. Okay, so that is established. We're going to keep coming back to it. Companies, reach out as soon as you can.
Yep.
Let's talk about your free agent news.
Yeah.
Okay. And you have re-signed with, I'm just going to look. It's the Las Vegas Aces.
Have you heard of
I guess the name rings a bell as
Yeah.
I'm reading through it. Look, like,
They're not bad. They're not bad.
they've won a couple of championships over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
For you, though, for real, you've obviously been such a significant part, and everyone up and down the roster. And Beck, you all talk about the role that you have played in winning these titles. Was this a hard conversation? Are you exploring your options? Like, take me through what your thought process was going into free agency.
Howard, there haven't been many options for years. It's like this has been the option. But for me, like, I don't stress about that. Even if the Aces hadn't brought me back, I would have just been grateful for the time that I spent being a professional athlete in the W, like, because it was rewarding. I learned a lot. I grew a lot as a player and person. So for me, I don't know. I find it super fitting that it's been the only option because it's worked out. It's worked out great because obviously we've won, but it's worked out well for me individually because I really do think that it's just the best fit for me and where I am in my life, just because of the people that surround me, teammates, staff, front office. Like, it makes the most sense. The fans. So yeah, there wasn't a lot of shopping around. There wasn't a lot of shopping around to do. It wasn't talking to anybody. Like, people have.
It wasn't a tour, is what you're saying. There wasn't a tour.
There wasn't a tour, Howard. People have wanted me. Like, people reached out to me and like multiple seasons prior. Like, people would be asking me, like, do I want to coach or like come on staff? But like, I still wanted to play. So no, I don't want to be on a staff. And if I hadn't got an opportunity to play, like, I would have just moved right into acting because coaching just isn't what I want to do right now. So I always just feel like I trust the path that God has me on, and like whatever is for me, I think it's gonna come. And so I don't stress about anything. Like, I really don't.
You have now played 210 games in the WNBA regular season, another 18 in the postseason. And we've talked about, because I don't know how many times you've been on the show. I think 5 or 6 at this point.
Yeah.
One of our regulars, which we appreciate very much. And I guess I just wonder, we know how much of a challenge that was, how hard it was to kind of break into the league. Does that play a part in it for you as well? That because it was such a challenge to get that role, that it's trying to maximize how long you get to do it on the, on this side of it?
For sure. I got to experience at a young age, like, rejection, like as a young pro. And I think I've always been a resilient person and a motivated person, but like, it's tough to get back into the league. I've had to do it 2 or 3 times now. But like, I'm fortunate that it happened to me when I was young, because it's been easier every other time that's like a no was said to me. And honestly, all those times that no was said, something else popped up in my life that I wouldn't have been able to do if I was playing. So in hindsight, it all made sense to me. So when stuff happens to me nowadays, I don't trip about being rejected, because I'm like, it's being worked out for something else. And that's just, like, for me, a way to live my life. And that makes it not like stressful, and you don't have to worry because you believe that things are for a reason.
To see this path has been inspiring, I know, to so many people. So I'm delighted you get to share it. I'm delighted.
Yeah, 'cause honestly, sorry not to cut you off, but I just hope that people look at their own lives. Like, it's not just about sports for me, or like the rejection in that. Like, a lot of us experience rejection on several scales. Like, that is part of life. You're not meant to go through this life with ease. So for
Mhm.
me, when it happens, it's like there's a lesson probably in all of it if you really stop to think about it and you don't just like react to it emotionally. There's probably something to learn from it. Either you weren't ready, or that person didn't deserve you, or like people didn't see your worth, so you needed to be somewhere else. So I think if people try to view their situations like that, when there are difficulties that arise, like, it'll be much easier to move forward.
It's true, and I can also lay claim to having seen the fruits of that on the other side, having seen you celebrate championships each of the past 2 years. So it's a great universal lesson to take. As always, I will just tell you all listeners, listen to Sydney Colson. We have a lot more to get into, of course. Sid, I may be breaking this news when I say it, but yours was not the only deal that was made official today. So we're in segment 2 going to talk all about that. A lot of WNBA tea still to come. But first, I want to tell you guys about PrizePicks, one of our sponsors today. And PrizePicks, of course, is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America and the easiest daily fantasy sports platform to use. It's just you against the numbers. You just pick between 2 and 6 player stat projections, and you pick more or less. If you get it right, you win. You're not going up against pros or sharks. You just choose you against the numbers. And they have some innovative ways to do it now. There are combo projections across multiple sports, football and basketball with the specials league. So you can do like LeBron James and Travis Kelce at 10.5 combo of 3-pointers made and receptions. You can even go into community plays tab and play against people like rapper Meek Mill and comedian Andrew Schultz. So go ahead to prizepicks.com/lockedonnba. I have a special offer right now, a first deposit match of up to $100. Again, that is prizepicks.com/lockedonnba. Use code LOCKEDONNBA. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy. So obviously, Sid, when we move beyond just you and we look at some of the other moves the Las Vegas Aces have made, I understand that Pancake Gustafson, the corgi belonging to Megan Gustafson, has signed with the Aces. Is that something you can confirm for our audience at this time?
Right. I just saw that. I didn't know. Like, I saw people talking the other day, like when they were saying Megan might be signing. They were talking about her dog, and I was like,
Yeah.
people are funny, but we obviously have a lot of dogs on the Aces, and so just one more fur baby to add to that bunch.
Is that a challenge, bringing in a new dog to a group of existing dogs? And is that a metaphor for how team building happens?
It's you just made it one, but I don't have. My girlfriend has a dog, but um I don't know what that is gonna be like. I don't know, like, I don't know her dog's personality. I don't even know the personality of corgis.
I will say this. So Megan is going to be great to get along with, as
Yeah.
somebody who covered her dating back to her college years. Pancake even easier. Pancake
Oh,
makes the situation better.
really?
Yeah. No, like it's hard to say like, oh, you guys are the defending champs, and now you've added to it. But like, I think the mix may have gotten even better thanks to Megan and Pancake, without question. But obviously, also bringing Kia back and Kia Stokes here on a 2-year deal. First of all, seeing Kia get paid, seeing her go, and we were able to report over at the next 100K, 103K, making sure that there is value assigned to what she does. We've talked about it, right? But how do you think what does it speak to about what Kia Stokes means to you guys that she's brought in multi-year deal, making sure that she is defending the way she always has?
She's To me, Kia is just like so solid and so consistent. You know exactly what you're getting,
Mhm.
and um, the crazy thing is she's capable of even more. Like, she she probably doesn't even realize like how much more she can give offensively, and people, um, like have a lot of. This is just like Twitter and social media in general. People are just negative, but they talk a lot about her not scoring enough. And I'm just like, we got a lot of people who can score. She's very solid on the defensive end, very sturdy. Like she's held us down in a starting position for a year and a half, or maybe like a little under a year and a half, because she started playing in that 2022 season, like sort of like later in the year she started starting. But for me, like Kia can really shoot the ball. Like she can score well. It's just when she gets in her mind to be like more dominant offensively, then like that could even be even more value that she's adding. And she already adds a lot. So, hopefully she just keeps understanding like that what she brings is great, but she's capable of even more. But yeah, it's good to see that the team sees her value and showed her in a monetary way.
Year after year, Kia Stokes teams make the playoffs, and people treat it like a series of one-off coincidences.
Yeah, she's a winner.
Blows my mind. She goes overseas and she wins championships. This is just what Kia Stokes does. So it's obviously great to see. Yeah, just in terms of like the negativity of social media, I would urge people just like follow Syd on Instagram and TikTok. That's like all you need. I don't get a lot of value out of much of the rest of it. I would just kind of recommend that to everyone. But in terms of like where you guys are, I know obviously Candace Parker has a decision to make, right? And you look at this group, you look at, sort of how you guys have all come together. Do you feel like when you think it through as a collective, that there's a sense of like, all right, there are these two paths, but we know how to navigate either one? Or is it more of a like holding pattern before you kind of move forward in that way?
Wait, say that again.
Just in terms of Candace and giving Candace the space to make her own decision about what she wants to do going forward. Do you guys start to make plans with we're going down two tracks and we give her the space to do it? Or is it more, is there a little bit of waiting at this point to sort of see where she is?
Howard, hey, I just sit back and see what's gonna happen. I'm not part of no planning, but I would want Candace to be back. It was cool having her as a teammate. Obviously this is Candace was somebody who came into the league and did something that like hadn't been done. You don't have a lot of rookies come in and dominate a professional women's league or just a professional league. So she was people throw it around way too much, but she was actually a generational player in talent. And so, and then her mind, she knows the game very well. Obviously we see her as an analyst on TV now, but I think, Candace, she knows what she wants to do. I'm sure you're waiting for her. And she, like the older we get, obviously you're listening to your body too. Injuries don't make things any easier, but like I said, she was and is a generational talent, and what she brings, anything that she might not bring physically, she's going to give you something mentally, and in what she sees on the floor. So yeah, like I hope that she'll be back, but time will tell.
It's interesting, just even from like a media perspective, there is ultimately we're trying to inform people about what's going on, right? But there are these certain stories where you just feel like, all right, that person has earned the right to tell her own story. And so to kind of have that space as she does, as somebody I consider it a rare privilege to have been able to cover her for her career. It's something that I think our grandkids are going to be talking about, the legacy that she put forward, because like you said, this is someone not just generationally in terms of what she accomplished, but also just the way in which she played the game. It has changed the way I think a lot of people have thought about the way you can change the game. So yeah, it's something where we hope to see more of her. She has earned the right to do whatever she sees fit. Going to be fascinating to see. But the flip side of this, and sort of the last part before we get into Athletes Unlimited, which we have to talk about because it is deeply compelling. And I was just talking to Kalani Brown about this today. But the fact that the team, regardless of that decision where the core is built, it's signed multiple years in so many cases. Does
Yeah.
it feel like there's a level of confidence going into 2024, even beyond what you had last year? Because you guys just did something nobody's done in 20 years in this league, and that's back-to-back titles.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a level of confidence, as there should be.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't back to back, just after accomplishing, winning a championship, it's a big deal. But obviously, like as time goes on and the next season's about to start, it doesn't matter anymore because it's a new year. We've seen all of these free agency moves, so teams will be looking very different than they did last season. But I think the thing about our team is that we remain confident through like whatever the situation is, and we remain together. So it is a scary thing to see that like our core has remained the same, and a lot of pieces are back, and they're good new additions. So yeah, I think that warrants like a level of confidence for sure.
Literally change the timeline of some other franchises to understand that this is now and looking to get beyond it. It's fascinating, just the impact you guys continue to have on this league. All right, so lots more about the Aces to come. I think they will come up again at some point in the show here in 2024.
Yeah.
That's a pretty decent bet. But we got to talk AU. So segment 3 coming up, all about Athletes Unlimited. We'll get right back into it. But first, want to let you guys know about FanDuel, and the Super Bowl is coming up, and it's not just a chance for the Syd and TP Show to be meeting people to be able to endorse. It is also a chance to watch football. Is I think the game. It's a game. Listen, there are times where there isn't women's basketball on. AU hasn't started yet. Okay, fine. Turn on a football game, and if you do, use FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. You can go ahead and place a Super Bowl bet of any kind. If you bet $5 or more and you win, you get $200 in bonus bets. There's bets for which players will score a touchdown, how many points will be scored, so much more. I believe they have this, what color will the Gatorade be, which is always my personal favorite prop bet. Just go over to FanDuel.com/locked on to sign up. That's FanDuel.com/LOCKEDON. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Back here with Sydney Colson in segment 3. And so I just want to lay this out for listeners. You've heard from Maddie Segrist. You have heard from critical players across the 40-person roster at Athletes Unlimited, 18 of whom are currently on WNBA rosters. But one of those 18, and it just, Kalani Brown got a little emotional talking about it earlier today, about when I said to her, what does Athletes Unlimited mean in the arc of your career? Ahead of, again, Kalani got paid a 3-year deal, and somebody who's worked really hard to get here. And she said, I wouldn't be here if not for the confidence that Athletes Unlimited gave me. And so when I hear that, I just think, in what ways is the sisterhood of Athletes Unlimited helping you guys boost one another? Forget on the court where the competition is elite. Off the court, take me inside that.
I think a big part of it, like that confidence that Kalani is talking about, is just that you have people who are like, we're living in the same place, we're practicing in the same place, and we're like passing one another by, even if you're not on the same team. Like, you're seeing somebody after your practice or before your practice, and we hang out with one another. Like after the week's games, like usually the players and the staff, they set something up for us to all go to the same place and like have drinks, appetizers, just talk and hang out. And then you have a draft in the next couple days, and then you're with a new team, and then you kind of do it all over again. But I think it's really like the camaraderie and the fellowship that we're able to do, because we do a lot of stuff off the court, just that like our staff will help set up, or that our PC will help lead. that different speakers will come in and talk to us. So there are so many like educational and like enrichment opportunities that you have no choice but to get to know one another better. And so therefore you want to root for one another. And yeah, I think, my situation was similar to Kalani's. Like hers was confidence just to, I guess, continue to grow in the player that she was, grow in the player that she is. And for me, it was just the ability to be seen for another year because I was out of the league, and still wanted to play basketball competitively. And that's when AU basketball came around, or AU Pro Hoops came around. So yeah, it's given a lot of people a chance to change the trajectory of their career or of their mindset. And hopefully people keep seeing the value, not just in because there's value in playing in AU outside of getting a WNBA training camp contract or something with the WNBA. Like you can also go there just to be growing as a person and player, and that too should be enough.
It should, and in so many cases it is. I'm also struck, of course, by the fact that when we think about you can just run the numbers, right? There are not 144 players in the WNBA, as we know, because there are not 12 teams per roster because of a salary cap that needs to change and hopefully will change with a new collective bargaining agreement. So just run the percentages. 18 currently players on WNBA rosters. That's an enormous percentage of WNBA players getting to know one another and being able to understand who you guys are as people as you head into what most people expect will be a CBA negotiation. How important do you think that is for solidarity for a group who are in a very similar place professionally? How much do you think that will matter?
I think it matters because you have a chance to get to know some people better that you hadn't been in close proximity to before. To talk about things y'all hadn't talked about. Talk about the CBA and what that'll look like and what certain people value. And yeah, I think just from like to speak on like the competitive aspect one more time though of AU, like there's also a lot of value because you have a lot of people who maybe didn't get an opportunity to crack into the W, but they've been vets overseas for a long time. And so even the enlightenment that they've gotten over the course of their careers can help a younger player in the W, for instance, and help you understand like the business side of things and how to look at things when it looks one way, but this is really what it is. And yeah, so I appreciate that part of AU too, just the mixture of people that we have and the ability that older players can give to younger players and vice versa.
There's somebody on the AU roster of 40. I'm just looking for a scouting report on her. Teresa Plaisance. I think she's a center. What can you tell us about TP as a player? What's new? What has she added to her game since we last saw her?
I mean, TP was out for a minute because of the fracture that happened to her eye when she was in Seattle. So she probably got back to being able to play like towards the end of the W season. So, a minute that she was gone. So yeah, I think she was just getting back into the swing of being able to compete again, full speed. And, I know that she's taking it off the bounce a little more, what she told me, which is crazy for a 6'5", and still that ability to shoot, to be solid defensively. Yeah, but I'm looking forward to seeing what she'll do in AU this season, and to see like where she'll sign, because I know a team got to pick her up.
Somebody's got. I mean, she was a stretch five before stretch five was a thing.
For sure. Yeah, and I think her defense is a little underrated. Like she blocks a lot of shots. I can't remember what the stat was in like the year that we were playing together, but yeah, she's a sneaky shot blocker.
Rebounder, rim protector, can stretch the floor. Yeah, I feel like this was as much like us coming up with assignments for people as it was a conversation, right? Like businesses come, throw a badge of money at the Syd and TP Show. Go teams, go sign TP.
Thanks.
Everybody has their orders, right? And so
Yeah.
we'll go on from there. Well, Sydney Colson, is always great chatting with you.
Always.
Congratulations on all you are doing. And thank you for sharing your time with our listeners. To our listeners, thank you for making us your first listen every day. We will be back tomorrow. The great Jackie Powell is going to take you through free agency in case there's any more moves, which there may be quite a few because my phone has been going a little crazy while we're recording. So I'm not sure what that's all about. So until then, I am Howard Megdal, wishing all of you a wonderful Thursday.
Ogunbowale for the win.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball.